You follow the rules, you get the paycheck, you pay the rent, you put a little bit aside for a rainy day, maybe into that 401k you barely understand, and you spend the rest on, I don't know, Uber Eats and streaming subscriptions because you're exhausted. And you sit there looking at your bank account and you think, I'm doing everything right. Why does it feel like I'm moving at 1 mile per hour? You feel like you're running on a treadmill that's slowly inclining, getting steeper every single month. You aren't broke, you can pay your bills, but you aren't free. You are what I call comfortably stuck. Here's the thing. The financial advice you've been fed, specifically the gold standard 50-30-20 rule, wasn't designed to make you rich. It was designed to keep you a highly functional, debt-free employee for 40 years until you're too old to enjoy the money. If you want safety, click off this video. Go follow the standard advice. But if you want speed, if you want to condense 40 years of wealth building into 5, we need to break the rules. My name is Marco, and I spend way too much time thinking about financial velocity and the mathematics of freedom. If you're someone who is tired of the quote-unquote slow lane and feels like the traditional math just doesn't add up for your goals, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Today, we are deleting the 50-30-20 rule from your brain. We are replacing it with something aggressive, something uncomfortable, something I call the 10-80-10 strategy. Now, I know what you're thinking. Marco, those numbers don't make sense. Stick with me, because once you understand the math behind this, you'll never look at a paycheck the same way again. Let's look at the safe advice. Senator Elizabeth Warren popularized the 50-30-20 rule. 50% on needs, rent, groceries, utilities. 30% on wants, dinners, gadgets, fun. 20% on savings, debt repayment, and investing. On paper, this looks responsible. It looks balanced. But let's run the real numbers. Let's say you take home $4,000 a month after tax. That's roughly a $60,000 salary. Pretty standard. Under this rule, you save $800 a month. That's your 20%. If you invest that $800 every single month into the S&P 500 with an average 8% return, do you know how long it takes to hit $1 million? 31 years. 31 years. You started at 25? Congratulations, you're a millionaire at 56. But wait, inflation exists. In 31 years, $1 million will have the purchasing power of about $400,000 today. So you're not actually rich. You're just okay. And that's assuming you never have an emergency, never lose your job, and the market always performs. Here's what most people don't realize. The 50-30-20 rule assumes that average is the goal. It assumes you are okay with trading the prime years of your life for a comfortable twilight. I don't know about you, but I don't want to drive the Ferrari when I'm 70. I want the option to be free now. To do that, we need to invert the equation. This is the 10-80-10 strategy. It is not for everyone. It is for the obsessive. Here's the breakdown. 10% for strategic joy, wants. 80% for the engine, investments and aggressive growth. 10% for the iron safety net, cash buffer. Now you might be thinking, Marco, are you insane? How am I supposed to live on... Wait, you didn't even list needs in there. Where does rent go? Where do groceries go? This is where it gets really interesting. In the 10-80-10 model, your needs are not a fixed category. Your needs are the enemy of the 80%. See, the traditional model tells you to fit your saving around your spending. The 10-80-10 model tells you to fit your life around your growth. Let's break down the buckets. The first 10%, strategic joy. This is non-negotiable. You keep 10% of your income to blow on whatever you want. Why? Because if you strip away all joy, you will burn out in 6 months and binge spend everything. This 10% is the pressure valve. It keeps the machine running. The 80%, the engine. This is the controversial part. This bucket includes your investments, your business reinvestment, and your essential living expenses. The second 10%, the iron safety net. This goes into a high-yield savings account until you have 6 months of expenses. Once that's full, this 10% redirects into the engine. This protects you from having to sell your assets when your car breaks down. Wait, Marco, you're saying my rent has to come out of my wealth bucket? No. I'm saying that you need to view your living expenses as a tax on your growth. The goal of the 10-80-10 strategy is to manipulate the variables of your life until your savings rate plus your needs fit into this massive 80% block, with the goal of crushing the needs down to nothing relative to your income. In a perfect 10-80-10 execution, you are living on 10 to 20% of your income and investing 60 to 70%. Let's go back to our guy making $4,000 a month. If he tries to save 60% of his income, $2,400 per month, he has to live on $1,600. Is that hard? Yes. Is it impossible? No. It means roommates. It means cooking every meal. It means no car payment. But look at the math. If you invest $2,400 a month at 8%, you hit $1 million in 17 years. You just cut your sentence in half. You just bought back 14 years of your life. But, and this is the critical part, you can't just frugal your way to the 10-80-10. There is a floor to how much you can cut. You can't starve yourself. So, the 10-80-10 strategy forces you to look at the other side of the equation, income. The 50-30-20 rule makes you lazy. It says, just budget better. The 10-80-10 rule screams at you, you don't make enough money. If your rent is $1,500 and that represents 50% of your income, you are trapped. But if you double your income to $8,000 a month, suddenly that $1,500 rent is only 18% of your income. The 10-80-10 strategy isn't a budgeting tip. It's a career roadmap. It forces you to realize that a $60,000 salary is a mathematical emergency if you want freedom. Here's the psychological trap most of us fall into. It's called Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. In finance, it means expenses expand to equal income available. You get a raise, you get a better apartment. You get a bonus, you get a lease on a BMW. The 10-80-10 strategy is a psychological firewall against lifestyle creep. By locking away 80% of your income, mentally categorizing it as growth or survival costs, you artificially create scarcity. When you operate with artificial scarcity, you become resourceful. You find cheaper ways to have fun. You negotiate your bills. You become hungrier at work because you feel broke, even though your net worth is skyrocketing. I want you to feel broke. I want you to look at your checking account and see $200 while your brokerage account has $50,000. That is the feeling of winning. Look, I know you can't switch to 10-80-10 tomorrow. If you try, you'll fail. So, here's the transition plan. Phase 1, the audit, day 1 to 7. Calculate your true survival number. Not your, I like to have Netflix number. Your, if I don't pay this, I die or go to jail number. Rent, food, utilities. Measure that against your income. If it's over 50%, your only job is to increase income. Stop worrying about stocks. Go learn sales, learn coding, get a second job. Fix the shovel. Phase 2, the freeze, month 1 to 3. Freeze your lifestyle. As your income goes up, and it will if you focus, do not spend a single dollar more. Every extra dollar goes into the 80% bucket. If you get a $5,000 raise, your lifestyle stays at the old level. Phase 3, the flip, month 6 plus. Automate it. Set your bank account to automatically sweep money the second it hits. Paycheck hits, 10% to fun account. Transfer to brokerage/savings immediately. Force yourself to survive on the remainder. The 50-30-20 rule is comfortable. It's safe. It's what your parents did. But you aren't watching this channel because you want to be your parents. You're watching this because you feel a clock ticking in the back of your head. You know that you are capable of more than just getting by. The 10-80-10 strategy is extreme. It's unreasonable. But as George Bernard Shaw said, the reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. Be unreasonable with your money. Be unreasonable with your savings rate. Be unreasonable with your ambition. Because reasonable gets you a gold watch at 65. Unreasonable gets you freedom. If you're ready to build the engine, comment 80% down below so I know who the serious ones are. Don't forget to subscribe to Unbroke. I'll see you in the fast lane.